Hey guys, and welcome back to the Sophie and Leyla Show. This is Leyla.
And this is Sophie.
Sophie, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so I'm sure as everyone has been seeing in the last couple weeks, the Wacklin, Celebrini, and Will Smith hockey videos. Layla and I have our own personal relationship with Wacklin Celebrini where we call him Macalini. So just moving forward, when you hear that, we are Macalini supporters. So I personally just watched the video today, first, of the Judi, I actually don't know her last name. Judi Jupiter, thank you. The Judi Jupiter video, and I find it so awkward. I feel like they're being like confronted. They don't seem happy. They seem so like they're just like, I don't know, trying to be polite or people pleasing by just like answering her. But I find it really awkward and invasive. So I know that I'm in the minority here. What do you think, Leyla?
I think that it is really endearing, and I think Will Smith hockey is eating up the camera time, in my opinion. I think that he knows what he's doing, and I think that he likes being on camera, and it's Wacklin Celebrini or Macalini that is the awkward one, and that fits with their personalities perfectly. So I think it's a great set of videos, and I'm really glad it's on the internet now. What do you think, Sophie, about maybe doing a little analysis of the Judi Jupiter videos, perhaps?
Let's do it.
Wait, Loki, how are we going to get the audio of this?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Is that legal?
Yeah, I think so, because it's just like a TikTok, right?
That's true. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Almost. Yes.
Oh no, wait, connection is unstable.
Hello?
Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, like, with speed?
Yes.
Uh-oh, that didn't sound very fast.
You're sounding better. A little robotic, but you're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guess who's performing at Madison Square Garden on Thursday? Thursday the what? What date is that? This Thursday. This is the 20th, 21st, 23rd. October 23rd, this team, what's the name of your team?
San Jose Sharks.
Pause it. See the slow blink? I think that is indicative of him enjoying it. Because
The slow blink?
Because you know who he slow blinks at? Wacklin Celebrini. And you know who he enjoys? Wacklin Celebrini.
Is he like a cat?
Yeah, maybe. Is that what cats do?
Yeah, they'll like slow blink to show affection.
Then yeah, I think so. But you saw the slow blink, did you not?
Let me go back and look at this. Hold on.
Okay, guess who's performing at Madison Square Garden on Thursday? Thursday the what? What date is that? This Thursday. This is the 20th, 21st, 23rd. October 23rd, this team, what's the name of your team?
San Jose Sharks.
Did you see that?
That's him rolling his eyes, 100%.
That's not him rolling his eyes. That's him slow blinking.
Rolling his eyes. I die in this hill.
I think, wait. Okay, Sophie, since you're sharing your screen, can you pull up the Will Smith hockey, Wacklin Celebrini, IIHF video where they talk to each other?
Yes. Hold on.
Hey, Mac.
What's up, Will?
I hope you're having fun.
Have fun.
Good luck.
Did you see that slow blink?
Let's see again.
Hey, Mac.
Did you see that slow blink right there?
What's up, Will?
Again?
I hope
He's
you're having
just
fun.
blinking.
Ready? There.
fun.
That's just blinking.
No, watch this.
Hey, Mac.
There. He's a slow blinker when he's looking at things he likes. Or doing things he likes.
No. I think he's just blinking. Are we zoom in on Will Smith?
Wait, also another little tidbit is when she
Yeah.
says performing, they look at each other and laugh.
They
which
laugh,
I think is
yeah.
funny.
Oh, totally. I agree. I think that it's yeah, they like obviously that's why I feel like they're obviously making fun of this and are uncomfortable because it's like she's so clueless.
I don't think they're uncomfortable, and I don't think they're making fun of it. I think it's just like, haha, performing.
All right.
I don't know. It seems all genuine.
I think you're more optimistic than I am.
Because also, I'd like to point out that there are 4 videos, right? The first, like, 1 or 2 are just of Will Smith, and then they go outside to get Wacklin Celebrini in it. So, in my opinion, it's like Will Smith being like, that's so funny, let me, like, get my friend Mac in on this.
Okay, I actually didn't know that that's what happened, so that's cute. I do like that. That makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But we forge on.
The Rangers.
Oh, you gotta be kidding. Wow. And how long have you been playing for the team?
This is my second year with the team.
Are you good? What position?
I'm a forward.
And who are you?
I'm
back?
Will,
Who are
and I'm
you?
a forward too.
I also like a backward.
Dude, no one appreciates her humor.
Yeah, I think I like that she also starts to say, "Are you good?" and backs off and says, "What position are you?"
Yeah. She's inoffensive. I like that.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, what's your Instagram?
Mac Celebrini.
Will Smith too.
Okay, stand up, please. We're gonna see what real athletes look like. Okay, do a spin.
Athlete.
Turn around. Wow. Now these are
See, they're having such a good
perfect
time.
specimens.
Yeah. Okay. I do think that Will Smith is eating this up. I see it.
Right?
Listen,
Right?
excuse me.
Yeah, excuse you.
They're athletes. These are like Olympians. And where are you from?
I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, I love Vancouver. I used to go to Victoria.
Yeah.
I almost got in a car accident with a woman in a Rolls Royce. I went through a red light. I mean, not red light, stop sign. Well, she was sanctified. And you, where do you
How's
live?
that? That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's almost
Beautiful.
It's beautiful in that it's a masterful example of how to politely laugh when someone's telling a story and you don't know how to respond.
I agree. I think that that's like it's just so clear that he's just like, ha,
Yeah.
wow, you mistook the stop sign for a red light.
Yeah. He went, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah. See, this is why I think that they're humoring her, because I think that he's just kind of like, he seems to want to get out of the situation as fast as possible, but he's also being polite. But it definitely seems like not someone like asking follow-up questions.
I think that Wacklin Celebrini is just an awkward guy. First of all, again, Will Smith hockey is eating it up. And I think they are a little bit humoring her because it's a funny situation. It's a woman in her 70s, like taking videos of them and asking them to spin around. That's a funny situation. But I don't think they're not enjoying it.
It's true. Okay, let's see. I think the next thing is when I also think they're not enjoying it. But let me think. I think what happens next. Hold on.
I live in San Jose. During
That
the year.
sounds nice.
Yeah.
And how about you? Where are you
I'm from
from?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Where do you live now?
San Jose.
Wow. Do you like San Jose?
Yeah, it's nice.
Perfect weather.
Very good weather.
Warm all the time?
Yep.
Wow. How are the women? Gorgeous?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to pause. That's where I think he gets uncomfortable, where I think he's kind of like, yeah, the weather's good. And then she's like, how are the women? And he's like, haha.
Yeah.
And that's I
That's
think,
an uncomfortable question. I can agree with that. But before that, he's having a great time. He says, very good weather.
it seemed very like he was just like parroting back what she's saying, which I think is just the way to end a conversation. Like she was like, is there good weather there? He's like, very good weather. And then it's like, must be nice. Yeah, it's nice kind of thing.
Well, I raise you this. They are on camera. So it's not like they're going to bust out in a whole conversation about the weather of San Jose.
Yeah, it just feels very like hockey interview, give nothing.
Yes, I can see that. But I don't think that means that they're hating the situation.
Okay.
And how about you? You're single?
I'm single, yeah.
These guys are single. Now, don't blow up their what is it, Gmails? But come on, girls. These guys, these are real babes.
Girls and
Okay,
guys.
what do you want to say to my?
I was just going to say shout out.
Shout
What's
out.
up?
Judi Jupiter.
Yeah.
Inclusivity.
Okay, and what you say?
I'm sure
hi?
guys are also blowing
Say
up
hi.
their Instagram.
Their
Okay.
Gmails.
or their Gmails, excuse me.
Okay.
All right.
Closing thoughts.
That's where I think my closing thought is I think Will Smith's "Have a Good Night" is a very clear dismissal.
I can agree with that. I think that they didn't want to stay on camera that long, but I don't think that means that they hated it.
Yeah. I find it overall to be an uncomfortable encounter is still my closing thought.
I agree, but I don't think it's harmful. Not that you said that it was harmful, but I don't think anyone was more than uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure. I agree. No, I definitely didn't think it was harmful. I was just more like, for me, it's the most secondhand embarrassment ever.
I can agree with that, and I think that's what makes it funny. And I think they found it funny, and I think she maybe not found it funny, but is instigating it. And so, yeah.
That's fair. I think it reminds me, and this can serve as a transition point, of the interview with Auston Matthews from, I think, the COVID bubble, where the reporter basically was like introducing him, and they're like, Auston Matthews is from Arizona, and you would think, why does he even play hockey? And it was just like this, like, he like kept leaning into it, like this whole like, why would an Arizona person know what ice is like? And it was just one of those things where it was like clearly just not a mesh.
Right. Yeah, NHLers and their media skills.
You know them.
And so, yeah, Sophie, take us into that transition.
Well, we all know that the big news in the world of the Toronto Maple Leafs this summer is our departure of the one and only Mitchie Marner. To me, as a recent Maple Leafs fan, this was devastating because I had gone through the highs and lows of watching them be in the playoffs, being excited during the playoffs, and watching them just crash out. And even though it was inevitable, and even though from a logic point you can understand it, it's a tough loss for Toronto, I think. And personally, I'm wondering how Auston Matthews is handling this breakup, because he and Mitch Marner were rookies together. They played their careers together. They've always been paired together in the media in terms of, they've been on the same lines and everything. And I think there's an argument for the end of the Core 4 era. But I think I get mixed signals from Auston Matthews. Sometimes he makes little smiley faces on the ice, which to me feels like a cry for help for Mitch Marner. But other times he's like celebrating with Nyes and Nylander, and he seems more of like a captain than I feel like I've seen him previously. So I'm torn on how he's doing.
That's a great point, Sophie, and I think it's an important point that we should talk about. And it ties broadly into how do hockey players feel when their teammates and supposed best friends get taken away from them? A clear example for that we've been talking about is Mason Marchment and Jake Ottinger, formerly both of the Dallas Stars. Now they're separated. And I think the point of talking about it is how much of their friendship is real and how much of it is just because they're on the same team. And that really, if we get to the bottom of that, will help us understand how Auston Matthews is doing in his supposed breakup with Mitch Marner.
And honestly, I have a lot of thoughts about this because, we've talked about off recording about how the Otter and Mush kind of their openness about the sadness about, Mush getting traded and everything and how they can't wait to see each other again when they play each other. And I honestly think is pretty new in terms of you don't see a lot of, of course you're going to see people be like, oh yeah, I got dinner with this person, or I was excited to go back and see the team. You can think like Brad Marchand going back to Boston, but the kind of openness that they talked about it, I thought was really kind of refreshing. And honestly, I think that a lot of the Matthews-Marner friendship was perhaps forwarded by kind of this idea that they were part of this core four line. I don't truly believe, especially in the later seasons, or these past couple seasons, that they had this, tight bond. I don't think you really see that reflected outside of games. Yes, they played together very well. They were on that line together. But I don't think that they have the same level of attachment that the media gave them.
I will also raise that Mitch Marner was considered the social driver of the Toronto Maple Leafs team, which means that he had a positive relationship with everyone. So it's not necessarily that he and Auston Matthews were best of friends above anyone else. It may have just been that Mitch Marner is a sociable guy, is the one who's planning all these parties, it might just be his personality. And the fact that they have been together basically since they were drafted does make one think that they would be best of friends. But like you said, Sophie, they weren't really showing it in the later seasons. And so with that, let's talk about the smiley face and its significance.
I think, and see, this is where I'm torn. I think it might have been, okay, here's what I will pitch, and I have no proof for this. I think it might be a remnant from the Marner era, because I think of his association of like putting smiley faces on the glove and kind of using it as like a reminder of like hockey's supposed to be fun. And I think we've seen a little bit more of fun out of Auston Matthews. I think right now in their losing streak, that's not going to be as clear, but I think in their couple of early games where like, you know, the sellies after the goals, he just seemed so like happy and boisterous. And I think that maybe it's not the smiley faces aren't a cry for help for Matt or for Marner, but they could be a continuation of that pattern of saying, okay, I need to step in and be the person to like remind everyone to have fun, and I'm going to make these smiley faces to show everybody that I support this like image that Marner had left behind. What do you think, Leyla?
I think that's a great take, and I think that given your earlier analysis on sometimes he seems like he's yearning for Marner and sometimes he seems like he's doing super well, it may be that he is doing super well because of the lessons he learned from Mitch Marner, and now realizes that since Marner is gone from the team, he has to step it up with the agenda of hockey is still fun, especially as the captain. I've seen many things about how he seems like a better captain this season, and he's really taking responsibility. Do you want to say more about that, Sophie?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the way that I've seen it, I think he has. And I think, you know, there's the whole Stolars thing where he and Nylander and Stolars sat down with Berube and discussed everything. So I think that there's obviously those like clear leadership roles. And I think, like I was saying, I think just like the celebrations, the kind of support of the team, especially with like a younger Matthew Nyes, like I think you can see him really kind of bringing in those players and getting away from that kind of core four incredible players into more of a team mindset that he's leading. So I think that is a real change in his leadership style. But we're going to see, obviously, Matthews and Marner go against each other in upcoming games, which I think will be a big deal. But we might also see them face off at a bigger event that's coming up. Leyla, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. In February 2026, we have the Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. And what's super exciting about that Winter Olympics is that NHL players will be able to play for the first time since 2014. Now, what does that mean? That means that a ton of eligible players who could have made the Olympic rosters in their heydays are now vying for a spot against new, younger players. And so, without further ado, let's get into our thoughts on the potential Olympic rosters for Canada and the United States in the upcoming Winter Olympics.
Can I interject and say something? Did you know that the U.S. hasn't won gold, the men's hockey team, since 1980, since like the famous 1980 Olympic hockey game?
I did not know that. And why don't you talk a little bit more about what that game means to you, Snow?
We all know that I'm a very big Miracle fan. I love the 1980 Olympic hockey team. I've been in the same room as Mark Johnson, their star player. But I was just surprised because I think I didn't realize that. I was looking it up earlier, and when they were projecting the rosters, people were saying this is the best chance that they think that the U.S. team has since 1980, which I just had no idea that was their last win. So I do think it could be very, monumental to see the U.S. team come back, especially after the Four Nations face-off. And I think it would go along with the history of this kind of underdog team that's working its way back up. But also, we're in a very different political situation than we were then. So I don't know if it would mean as much to have the U.S. come out on top than it would in the 80s.
We are in a very different political situation, and we're facing a very different opponent. I think while there are tensions between the United States and Canada, it's obviously nowhere near as tense as it was in the Cold War. And so, what would a victory mean? Well, I do know that for the IIHF, the United States international team won the IIHF Men's World Championship this past year, 2025, and it was the first time they had won since 1993. So, similar timeline, a little different, but similar timeline to the last time they won gold in the Olympics. And certainly still within the timeline of NHL players being allowed to play in the Olympics. So does that mean that we're looking at the United States' best shot to win gold, given their previous success in the IIHF?
I would say yes. Maybe I'm a little biased. Of course, I'm going to say Team USA. But given how they've done previously and how the rosters seem to be shaking out, I'm pretty confident in their abilities to do well this year. I know there have been the announcements of some first players, as well as I know ESPN has done some rankings. NHL has released some projected rosters as well. Maybe we can dive into that.
So first and foremost, let's discuss ESPN's projected roster and who we agree with, who we disagree with. We can start with the U.S. forwards. Jake Gensel.
I think he's a good pick. I think the Lightning, I actually haven't been following how the Lightning are doing this year, but his stats, let's see what his stats are this year. Yeah, I think he's good.
I agree. I think he was a great player on the Penguins. I believe he won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2016 and 2017, and I think he's a natural fit for the team. Auston Matthews.
On the team, we love to see it. I'm excited. I hope he gets the C.
I agree. Love that guy. He deserves good things in life.
I'm glad.
Matt Boldy.
I like Boldy. My most recent encounter with the Wild was watching the San Jose Sharks finally win a game. So didn't look as good there for him, but overall he's a great player.
Yeah, I think he's great. Matt Boldy's cool. Okay. Brady Tkachuk.
I think my only concern about the Tkachuk brothers, both of them, I mean, they're already on the team, so my concern is just injuries, but I hope that they are able to both recover in time and then also fit back into the team.
I agree. I think that Brady Tkachuk is a great player in his own right. He is the captain of his team, and he's often overlooked, and he is my preference of the Tkachuk brothers. I hate him less than his brother, so, hoping for his continued health. Jack Eichel.
Well, we all know I hate the Las Vegas Golden Knights with a passion. I hope that he is cut from the team in a crazy turn of events. I don't care if he's a good player.
I agree. I don't like him. He injured Jack Hughes. He is, again, part of the Vegas Golden Knights. And I hope I don't want him to get injured because I don't wish for that. But I hope that some scandal comes out about him and he has to withdraw to save face. Matthew Tkachuk.
Well, Matthew Tkachuk helped lead the Florida Panthers to a cup, but I gotta say, I don't like him at all. I don't want him to, I fear he will get the C instead of Auston Matthews, and I would really hate to see that. I think that would be a bad decision. I also know that I was reading earlier, I forget the exact thing, but the rules that they'll follow at the Olympics, it means more restrictions around checking, and so he can't be as aggressive and fight as much as he wants. Actually, I don't know if it's checking. I know there's more rules around fighting. So I think his kind of get in your face chirping, fighting strategies won't work very well.
I agree. I completely dislike this man. I wish him nothing but the worst. He will be injured until January, so any kind of connection he could have with the team will be nixed. Unfortunately, I do think that the restrictions surrounding fighting would work in his benefit because he is kind of a provoking player. And so if he provokes fights, the fights will be handled much more harshly, which means good things for the team. I do hate to say it, but he's a good hockey player. He is one of the slowest in the NHL in terms of skating, which is good to note, but he does have 2 Stanley Cups. I hope that his injury keeps him out, since he's already injured. JT Miller.
I don't really follow the Rangers. I'm not super impressed with their organization from, how they present themselves, obviously with all the scandals they've had. So I don't know that much about JT Miller. He doesn't seem to be having a super strong start to his season, but I don't know what his past looks like. I could be convinced either way on him.
I dislike JT Miller. I think he was notably a locker room cancer at the Vancouver Canucks. I think that it's crazy that he was made captain of the New York Rangers. He has now led the Rangers into a record-breaking home ice losing spell. And I think that his homophobia should be noted. If U.S. hockey cares about gay people at all, they would keep him off the team. Jack Hughes!
All right, Leyla, you're not going to like this one. I've heard that people think Jack Hughes underperforms at the Four Nations face-off. So I would love to see him succeed. You know I would love to see him succeed, but that's my only hesitation.
I've seen these critiques, and to those, I will say that he didn't play badly. I think he was underutilized. Maybe didn't underperform. I think that he is having an exceptionally strong start to his season. Now that he has the Four Nations under his belt, he has more confidence in his international play, and I think that he would be an asset to the U.S. Olympic team. Tage Thompson.
I think Tage Thompson is... I know he was left off the roster for the Four Nations, and people said in hindsight that was a pretty big mistake, so I think him making the Olympic roster would hopefully be maybe a change of pace for the U.S., and I know they need to shake up how they built that roster going forward to hopefully get a win and a gold. So I think Tage Thompson would be a good switch.
I think Thompson does have one of the best shots in the NHL, as noted by other players. He is maybe one of the only bright spots on the Buffalo Sabres roster.
With the loss of J.J. Peterka.
Yes, with the notable loss of J.J. Peterka, gone too soon. I think I don't like Tage Thompson as a person. I've heard rumblings that he's a Trump supporter, and I'll leave it at that. Clayton Keller.
We all know how I feel about Clayton Keller. I think he's a phenomenal addition to the team, and I honestly think it would be a major disservice to the U.S. Olympic team if they leave him off.
I think he has that confidence and that laser-sharp focus that the U.S. Olympic team needs. While some may say that he is too focused on the game and maybe isn't one of the most fun captains, I think that would work to his advantage on the U.S. Olympic team. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sophie?
I don't think anyone said he's too harsh of a captain. I think he's just a very serious player, which makes him a good captain. Does it make him fun at the club? I don't know. But I don't think you can ever critique him for being too serious about hockey.
Exactly. Do you win medals by being fun at the club? No. You win medals by being good at hockey.
And isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful. Okay, Dylan Larkin.
The Red Wings are in their renaissance this year. I was convinced, I was ready to see them lose every game, and I have hope for them bouncing back, and I think Dylan Larkin could be a good addition.
Yeah, I think they're playing very well, and I think as the captain of a team that is doing well against all odds, he would fit right in on the U.S. team. Matthew Knies.
Well, I pitch Matthew Knies as a great addition. I think he's young, he's up and coming, he's having a great season despite the Leafs' kind of rough last couple games. And I think he's a great addition to perhaps a captain, Auston Matthews, because they can keep working together.
I like Knies. I think that he would be fine. He's not my most favorite pick, but of all of the people that I've said I would wish off of the roster, I think that he definitely makes it on.
Well, to kick us off on defense, we're starting off with the strong addition of Quinn Hughes.
Perfect, astounding, astonishing, lovely, wonderful. Best player on the Vancouver Canucks. Best player on the roster? Possibly. I think Quinn Hughes wins it all, and he is the perfect addition.
I'm sorry, Quinn Hughes wins it all? How do you foresee that?
I think the best offense is a good defense, and he's the best defense.
All right, I'll take it. I'm also a Quinn Hughes fan. No complaints. Charlie McAvoy.
I think he's good. He has good team chemistry with all of the other Team USA players, especially at Four Nations. I know he was injured, but he was still in the locker room for morale. And I think this is his chance to prove that he can handle international competition.
I agree. I think it's nice to see some Bruins representation, and I also hope Swayman can make it as a goalie. And we have 2 of them on there. But I think he's a great choice for D. And our next is Jacob Slavin.
Well, you'll hear my thoughts on Jacob Slavin in a bit, but I wholeheartedly agree with this pick. I think he's great. I think he plays his position well. Not much else to say.
I'll echo Layla's thoughts. I think that we talk more about him a little bit later, but I definitely think he should be the first to make it off. Maybe not the first, maybe the second. I have some others who could step in, but next up is Adam Fox.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's one of the best defensemen on the New York Rangers. I don't have much to say. I just know that he's a top performer, and I think it makes sense to put him on the roster.
I agree. Like I said, I don't have a ton of respect for the Rangers organization and then tend to not usually respect their players, but I think he's good for defense. I think he can have a strong offensive game when needed, so he's a good, well-rounded player. And I think he'd be a good choice. Next up, we have Zach Werenski.
Yeah, I think he's good. He is on the Blue Jackets, which are a totally irrelevant team, but he's still pretty good, and I think that it would be good to have him at the Olympics. He's a tough guy.
I agree. I think he's a great player. I think from also completely unrelated to his playing ability, from a storyline, emotional standpoint, I think having a Blue Jackets player on the team with the Johnny Gaudreau connection will be something that, unfortunately, I think the Olympic Committee will probably exploit, especially also his relationship with with Matthew Tkachuk. But I do think that having Blue Jacket representation is going to kind of make that moment more meaningful. And last up on our D line is Brock Faber.
I like that he's wearing glasses in his profile picture. I think that's really cute. I know that he was a Calder Trophy finalist, and it seems like he's one of the best D-men on the Minnesota Wild. So I think he makes sense as a choice. I think, I'll just leave it at that. I think he makes sense as a choice, and I respect it.
I agree. He's a little bit on the younger side. He's 23, so I think, there's definitely, it kind of goes back to that rookie conversation, but I'm definitely not against getting younger players on the team and kind of getting them while they're in their prime and giving them that exposure. They're younger, they can handle the kind of intensity of playing the regular season, going to the Olympics, and coming back and finishing out a regular season. So I think he's a good choice as well. On to goalies. So our goalies that we have listed that ESPN is projecting is Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. I have no complaints across the board here. I think that the goalies are all top performers, and I think it's kind of a well-known that the U.S. does have very, very strong goalies, so I think that that's somewhere that the team can shine, and I think they've picked, it's hard to pick out of a pool of such great goalies, but I think they picked 3 great ones.
I can agree with that. I think a little later on you will hear about my thoughts on a better goalie for the goaltending pool than perhaps one of them. But I think that the 3 of those are good picks. If I were to choose one to leave off, unfortunately it would be Jeremy Swayman.
Jeremy Swayman? Wow.
I think that he underperformed this past year, unfortunately. I think that he was given a monster contract and he did not live up to it. So better to have someone who does live up to their contract.
Wow, that's tough. I mean, I'm seeing what his save percentage has been so far this year. Yeah, it's not great.
What is it?
0.89, which is okay. But
is that Olympic caliber? I don't think so.
It's not Olympic caliber. That's exactly what I was thinking. So, I love Swayman. I love the Bruins, but there might be a better goalie out there. And maybe we'll talk about him later.
So it's one thing to look at the ESPN rankings, what people are thinking, but I think there are some underdogs that may be missing or players that we think should get a second look. I've got some personal favorites. I know Leyla does. Maybe people who we would advocate to be on those teams, even if they're not the number 1 spots.
As we jump into these roster lists, I would like to point out the captain of that U.S. team, Clayton Keller of the Utah Mammoth. And so I think it would be an absolute disservice, and to launching who I would like to see on this team, it would be a disservice to take
Keller off that list. I mean, he's a great player. He's a great leader for the Mammoth. He led a team to international victory. So I honestly can't find a reason. I think that there is a belief maybe along the team deciding that they could go with more reliable players with more kind of deep knowledge. I know Keller has kind of grown into his own in the last couple of years, but he's a great player with great leadership experience, and I think that they would be really missing out on that quality if he wasn't on the team. So I think Auston Matthews, Jack Eichel, the Tkachuk brothers, and Clayton Keller should be next on that list.
Awesome. Okay, great. So Clayton Keller would be your 5th player and your first pick. Do you have any other picks you'd like to talk about for 6 through 10?
I do. I think I have been looking at what the NHL is saying, what ESPN has been saying. It's just kind of, I like their lists. I think I would also like to pitch, and this is another maybe underdog player, is Matthew Knies. I think he's doing great this year. I think he's a really good up and coming player. And he's more than up and coming, but has been really solid this year on the Leafs, has really stepped up as one of their lead players. And I think he would also be a really good complement to Auston Matthews, because I think we've seen, he was injured last year. He was playing at, 70% at the Four Nations face-off. I think having someone who is his typically on his line, be at the games with him, would be a real asset.
Just as a little pushback, a little devil's advocate, perhaps, do you think that Matthew Knies has what it takes to play on the first line, which I believe is where Auston Matthews would play?
That's a good question. I think, and I don't think this is how they would do this at all, but how I would do it is I would not put him on the first line. I don't know if he has what it takes, but I think he could be bumped up there in a situation where Matthews wasn't playing to his best. I think that it could be we switch around some lines, or, throw him out there as a kind of change up when we see some moments of struggle. But no, I don't think he'd be a first line always.
I see. And so do you think then, follow-up question, do you think that Auston Matthews is worth picking a player that might not be as good as some of the other players in the pool just to support him?
I disagree that Matthew Knies is not as good as some other players in the pool. I think he's not on everyone's list, but I do think he's a very solid player. So I'm not worried about him kicking off someone who would be stronger there. And I think, Auston Matthews is on the team. Auston Matthews could potentially be the captain of the team. So it might, I know that it has gone to the Tkachuks before as well. So not the Tkachuks, one Tkachuk. But he's out with injury. So who knows if he's going to be leading a team.
Both of them are out with injury.
That's a good point. I forgot about Brady Tkachuk. Story of his life, right?
Yeah, most people do.
No, I hope he's very happy. Anyways, I think that Matthews is a strong player. I just think it wouldn't hurt to have a player that he's familiar with working on. I think that could only add to his strength versus kind of take a spot away from someone else.
So you'd take Matthew Knies as your 6th spot as a forward?
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him number 6. I might put him number 14, but I wanted to pitch him.
Okay. My 5th spot, after Auston Matthews, Jack Eichel, and the 2 Tkachuk brothers, who have already been named to the roster as forwards, would be Jack Hughes. And I don't think that comes as a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Hughes brothers, and Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes' older brother, is already named to the Olympic roster. I think that Jack has been having a phenomenal season so far, even though it's a little early to tell. He had a hat trick recently. He's been playing almost a point per game season so far, and it's his time. I think he's, this season, not to jinx it, hopefully, I think he's going to break the 99 points a season record that he's set himself for the Devils. And I think that earns him a spot on the Olympic roster. So that's my 5th pick.
Yeah, that doesn't come to a surprise to me. I think he is playing well, and the Devs have had a really good season so far, so it makes sense that he would be someone kind of building on that momentum to get to the Olympics. My question for you, and it's going off Jack Hughes, I know that we've seen Luke Hughes left off some rosters, and do you think that's going to cause any tension amongst the brothers?
I don't think so, and here's why. Luke Hughes is... Let me check his age before I say anything. He is younger by a few years. He's 22, whereas his brothers are 24 and 25. Jack and Quinn Hughes played on the U.S. Junior team together because they're so close in age. So I think they already have that connection. And I think that everyone knows that Luke Hughes is up and coming. He hasn't had his amazing season yet. He was out with injury this past playoffs after the first playoff game against Carolina. I think that he has things to prove, but he's already playing well. And the Hughes brothers themselves have said that he is playing better than Quinn Hughes played at his age. So I think that there will be a time, possibly in the next Winter Olympics, that all three Hughes brothers get to play together. But I just don't think that it's Luke Hughes' time yet, which is fine. He's only 22.
That's fair. I think it definitely does seem like it's good that he's the youngest brother, because I do think you're right that isn't going to cause tension of, he'll have his time. I guess the other concern is this is the first time, like you said, in a while that we're getting NHL players on the Olympic hockey team. So what if his chance doesn't come again in a while? Like you said, a lot of players kind of miss their prime because they weren't playing for the team. So I hope that he does get a chance. But I also think that does bring up the question of, do you give young up-and-coming players a chance on the team, or do you let the veterans kind of get their chance because they missed it before?
That is a great point, and I think that's one that the Olympic Committee of each nation is trying to figure out. I think that there is definitely an argument to let players that have already seen their better days pass have a chance on the Olympic team just because, they didn't get a chance before. I am of the belief that we should prioritize skill over seniority. The Olympics are a serious competition, and I think that already the NHL is kind of prioritized over that. And so, I think winning a Stanley Cup means more to these players than winning an Olympic gold medal. For many of them, at least, it's their job. Given that it's a secondary priority to many of these people, it's okay to have a few hurt feelings over more senior players that wouldn't get a chance, and balancing that with having more skilled players or players more in their prime be on the roster.
I agree with that. And I think that that's a really good point. This isn't, it's amazing to win. It's a good win for your country, all of that. But at the end of the day, they want a Stanley Cup, period. So they can prioritize who they want at that point and get the best players there, and also still play for their teams and still try to win the Stanley Cup as well. So who's another pitch that you had? Who would be your next?
Besides Jack Hughes, I would also like to pitch Jason Robertson and Matty Beniers. Now, these are kind of coming out of left field, especially Matty Beniers. But I will remind everyone that in 2020, possibly? No, 2021. In 2021, he won the Calder, which is, as we all know, the trophy that Best Rookie of the Year wins. So he has a ton of potential. I also think that he is on a team that is limiting this potential, and on an Olympic team with better caliber players, he would explode. Now, that does mean that I'm saying that the Seattle Kraken are limiting his potential, and that's my team, which kind of hurts to say. But I think we all can agree that the Seattle Kraken are not the best team in the league, and Matty Beniers is one of the best players on the Seattle Kraken, and I think that with the right players and with the right team, he could be super explosive, super beneficial, and overall a great Olympian. I also pitched Jason Robertson because I know he's an integral part of the Stars forward group. He was injured to start the playoffs, but then he came back and made the Stars way better. And I think that with his addition to the U.S. Olympic team, they would be not only adding an Asian person, which would be great for me specifically, they would be adding a great forward who has a lot of different skills to bring to the table. And how about you, Sophie? Who's your last pick?
I mean, I think you make good pitches. I think the one person that we're sleeping on right now, who has had a great start to his season, is Logan Cooley. We know that he has been on fire with the Utah Mammoth. He's, just scoring like crazy, just been a great
addition to the team and is really, you can see he's really growing from rookie to core member of the Mammoth. And I think that honestly, he's starting to be in conversations with, the people put him up against Celebrini and put him up against other kind of sophomore season rookies to really say that we have these great up-and-coming players. So, though he might be a little bit on the young side, I would say that he would definitely be worth giving a second look for that team.
As an interjection, he just had a hat trick. What more
he just
can
had a
you
hat
say?
trick. Exactly. So we're very. I think the Mammoth have had an explosive start to their season, but I think that Cooley has a lot of credit for that. So if we're looking for Americans who are going to make a splash, I think Cooley could jump in. But I think we've got some great forwards there, but of course we need some defense to defend the goalie. Leyla, who are you looking at?
Well, I think we all know that I'm very happy about our very own Quinn Hughes on the defense list already. Him and Charlie McAvoy of the Boston Bruins are already named to the team, and I would say my first addition would be Jacob Slavin. I think he is one of the best, if not the best, defensive defensemen of the NHL. He plays his slot extremely well. He always betters his defensive partner that's playing with him, and he has helped the Carolina Hurricanes along in their Stanley Cup journey this past year tremendously. So I think that he, being the best at his position as a defensive defenseman, deserves a slot on the Olympic roster. How about you, Sophie?
Yeah, I think that we've taken this in different ways. I think I've been pitching a lot of the young rookies because I think that they have a lot of star talent. So I'll stick with my theme and say that I think Lane Hudson would be an addition that the U.S. Olympic Committee is missing out on. I know he wasn't invited to their orientation camp, and I know we have a great list of, they'll find a handful of D-men who have more experience, who have a little bit more of a deeper reliability, but I think he comes out of his rookie season winning the Calder Trophy, Rookie of the Year. I think he's a really, really great player and has made the Canadians are lucky to have him, and I think it would be great to see him get his Olympic shot as well.
Interesting. You and his father both. Did you see that drama on Twitter?
I did. Yeah, I thought that was, honestly, that to me, that would knock him down on my list a little bit. I think that it's better to show with your actions and not your father's words.
Exactly. As the Quaker philosophy says, let your actions speak.
And I agree. It's probably hard to control your family and the media. I'm glad it came from his dad and obviously not Lane Hudson himself. What did you think of the comments?
I thought they were hilarious. It's really funny that someone thinks that their son deserves a place on the roster after his rookie season, no matter how good he is. Could he be a part of the Olympic roster? Yes. Does he deserve a spot? No. And I think that Brad Marchand's comments perfectly encapsulated everything. He needs to get control of his dad. Public perception is huge within the NHL, and stuff like that is what makes great players look bad.
Yeah, honest, but I think you're right. I think that's a good take. I think it's comes across as very not very classy.
Agreed. Let's just do a quick little roundup with one goalie each. So who would you have in goal for the U.S. team, Sophie?
Who would I have in goal? Well, I would say the lineups that I've seen have thrown around Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman. I think that those are great options. From those three, I know we all made fun of Hellebuck during the playoffs, but I think he's a very solid goalie. For personal preference, I'm going to choose Otter, though, because I think he's a great goalie. I like the Stars. I think they play well. I think they had a really great playoff run last year, and I think he would mesh with the team well. I think what the U.S. has going for them in general is you have the best goaltenders, and I think that's something that, all the teams, but especially Canada, are really going to have to compete with because the best goaltenders are American. Who's your pick?
Very well said, Sophie. Now, I think that my pick is certainly not the best goalie on the list, but I think he deserves at least that third slot. And my pick is Joey Decord of the Seattle Kraken.
I love it.
Thank you. He's an amazing goalie. I think last season he had one of the best save percentages. Within the Seattle Kraken, he has one of the most team-friendly contracts based on how well he performs. He is completely an asset to the team. Stolars of the Toronto Maple Leafs recently said that many of the shots that his team takes against Joey Decord is like playing catch with him because he's so good. I think that he would be great on the Olympic roster, especially if they choose Matty Beniers, which may not be likely, but would be great. He would have that connection with him. I think that he was already invited to the Olympic orientation camp, and he would do great in that role.
I think Joey Decord is a great pitch. I think he's up there for me as well. And I think it's tough because you have a lot of very, very good goalies who are in the running, but he's definitely someone not to be overlooked.
Agreed. Okay, let's do our fun topics.
Our game?
Oh yeah, our game. Let's do our game.
All right. So, Leyla and I are both going to we're going to play a little game where we're both going to randomly generate a one of the NHL teams, and this is going to be our fantasy Stanley Cup final. So we're going to defend what our team we think would win and in how many games they would win.
Oh, Sophia got San Jose.
Yes, let's go. No, I got the Washington Capitals. All right. They're better than the Sharks. All right. So, drum roll, please. We have our teams. Thank you. My Stanley Cup final for the Eastern Conference is going to be the Washington Capitals, a team I notably don't follow and don't particularly like.
Shame on you for that, by the way. And my team is the San Jose Sharks. Let's get started.
Well, we all know the San Jose Sharks are a beautiful team culturally. We love them. They're fun. Their social media is great.
So funny. Sorry. Continue.
When they play hockey, it's a different story. So, while I don't love some of the Capitals kind of vibe, I think that when you're coming in with players like Ovechkin, you're going to have a hard time and, not getting scored against, especially given the Sharks' goalie's proclivities to leave the net at times when maybe he shouldn't. And when you have even great players like Wacklin Celebrini shooting against Logan Thompson, for example, you're gonna you might have some more saves than you would want.
Now, while the Washington Capitals are in fact my hometown team or my home tri-state area team, I do have to say that the San Jose Sharks would sweep. I think that
Sweet.
4-0, the Washington Capitals are an aging team. Ovechkin has seen his prime come and go, especially without his number one assister, Nicholas Backstrom, on the team. What's he going to do? Nothing. I think that the San Jose Sharks are, in contrast, a young and thriving team. Now, while they may have had a bit of a rocky start to the season, what's the start of the season? You have the entire season left. I think that notable bright spots, as you said, Sophie, are Wacklin Celebrini. There's Will Smith Hockey, who we discussed. And I think that with the support of Miss Judi Jupiter, they would do it.
As much as I agree that, the beginning of a season doesn't say everything, as I'm trying to believe with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think that the Sharks have had a multi-year record of not doing very well. And we can see that in their number 2 draft pick, because when you have a high draft pick, it means you're not a good team. So, or you're a team that's struggled. That's maybe how I should phrase that. And as excited we are to get Michael Misa, I think that you're going to have some problems with a young team that's in a rebuilding phase and is, working towards something. But in the words of their own coach, that he would give his child to get a win. It's not giving a very hopeful Stanley Cup Finals kind of team. So I think that the depth of the Washington Capitals and just the kind of star-studded roster that they have
well, I don't think would win against, the Oilers or the Panthers, for example. I mean, we didn't see them get very far in the Stanley Cup playoffs before. I do think that they would beat the Sharks because the Sharks didn't get close.
What was I gonna say?
Gotcha.
I think that the Sharks are an underdog, admittedly, but who doesn't love a good underdog story? I also think the momentum of coming from behind would work in the Sharks' favor. Again, I'd like to note that everyone on the Capitals is old and everyone on the Sharks is young. And I think that's all I have to say.
We could agree on a... I could see we go to Game 7, but the Caps win. Can we agree on that?
By the rules of the game, I cannot agree to that, but I can say that, sure, they'd go to a Game 7.
All right. So we have one overhanging question that we've been thinking about this whole time, and I think Leyla would love to introduce that.
And I would, and this is a topic very personal and close to my heart. The question is, has Connor Bedard seen an Asian person?
And maybe, Leyla, this question might be confusing to our listeners, so I would love for you to dig into a little bit of, the context of why we started thinking about this.
Oh, I'm sure. So, basically, this came from a note that Connor Bedard is from Vancouver, West Vancouver, or no, North Vancouver. Wait, I gotta fact check this. I think it's North Vancouver. Connor Bedard. Did you see that he was like super drunk and then got a hat trick the next game?
Yes, I think that's so fucking funny.
So funny, bro. Yeah, I also didn't realize he's 20. So like, was he in Canada?
Probably, right?
I don't know. That's funny though.
I guess it didn't have him like holding alcohol, so it's like he can't get in trouble.
Right, but man, was he blasted. North Vancouver. Notably, Connor Bedard's hometown is North Vancouver. Why does this matter? Because Vancouver is home to... Wait, now let me do another little fact check. Vancouver Asian population. This was a question that we were asking specifically because of Connor Bedard's hometown. Now, Connor Bedard is from North Vancouver, Canada. North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Notably, the most Asian city in Canada. 54.5% of the Vancouver Census metropolitan area identifies as a visible minority, with the majority of this population being of Asian descent. That is actually from the AI overview of this thing on Google. So let me go to a more reputable source, CBC News, which says that 54% of residents said they belong to a visible minority, the most of which being Asian. Now, I'd also like to note that 25% of Metro Vancouver is Chinese. That is a huge population of Asian people. It started as a joke. Connor Bedard, a white sheltered boy, grew up in North Vancouver. Now, do these parts of his identity work against each other? Do we think he has seen an Asian person in the most Asian city in Canada, given his upbringing? It was just a silly question, but the more we researched, the more we saw that there are... The more we researched, the more we saw that there are 0 pictures of Connor Bedard with Asian fans. Sophie, take it away.
And this is big. We did go through his Instagram, and then we got uncomfortable about going through his Instagram. And, visibly minoritizing people. So, in the words of the Canadian census. So I would like to pitch the counter argument, is that I watched the Utah Mammoth versus the Chicago Blackhawks game. Embarrassing game for Utah. That aside, Kyler Yamamoto, an Asian American player, was in that game and was, I would say, had a lot of time on ice. So, to me, it seems, well, impossible that Connor Bedard has not at least, come face to face with Kyler Yamamoto.
or other players of Asian descent in NHL, however rare it is, but he's played against them.
He has played against them, but has he been on the ice with them? Does he have selective vision?
Yes.
We don't know. I think Kyler Yamamoto is a bad player, and Connor Bedard is one of... Sorry.
You think Kyler Yamamoto is a bad player, dude?
Kyler Yamamoto is not one of Utah's best players. Connor Bedard is quite literally one of Chicago's only hopes. I don't think that they would be played on the ice at the same time.
They were on the ice at the same time, though. I promise. I watched it happen.
I can choose to believe you, but he may have seen Kyler Yamamoto's figure, but did he see his visibly Asian face?
And this is where it gets interesting, because maybe he didn't.
Because maybe he didn't. He is laser focused on the game. All he cares about is making shots and winning. Do you think he cares about identifying whether or not a player on the ice is Asian? Visibly?
Wow, yeah, he's more focused on hockey. And honestly, would he be a good representative for the NHL? Maybe a way that we can look deeper at how players just aren't being engaged on social issues, because Connor Bedard should do more to let Asian viewers know that he supports them.
It would mean a lot to me specifically if Connor Bedard reached out to the Asian population of North America and beyond and said, I'm with you, I see you, I am you.
Do you want him to say I am you?
Yes.
Okay. You heard it here first. So listeners, we even asked for you. We want to capitalize on your numbers. And you all need to go through his Instagram and send us any photos of him with an Asian person. Or if you can get to Connor Bedard and have him take a picture with Leyla, that would also be better. And whoever is first able to do this, please email me, sophiedow28@gmail.com, and we will send you a prize that I have for you. There's only one, so act fast.
Yes, to all of our millions of viewers, please help.
Please help us.
Please.
Well, thank you for listening to Sophie and Leyla's podcast. We await your emails anxiously.
Stay tuned for a list of sponsors we'd like to sponsor us.
All right, I'm stopping my recording.